TV, bringing us to our first talking point. We'll be looking at the plan by federal government to cushion the effect of the mobile fuel subsidy. And of course, we've heard that an announcement has been made. 15 million households will benefit 75,000 naira. I actually put that figure together and I discovered that it is running over 1 trillion naira. To be precise, 1,125 billion naira is what government will pay to 15 million households. And the question that follows, how are we going to actually direct that money to those that actually need them? Are they for those in urban, semi-urban, or rural areas? Yeah, if you think those that are in rural areas need the most, there are those also that are in urban areas, but their situation is actually pathetic. So we look at this through the eyes of two gentlemen in the studio. Close to me is a political analyst, Folarin Olamilekan. Very good morning to you. Welcome.
Good morning for having me.
I also have another public affairs analyst, Ben Ogunloye. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Okay, let me start from you, Mr. Ogunloye. You've heard that actually emanated from the Independence Day broadcasts, and we've seen the ministers of humanitarian affairs and that of Ministry of Information. They are already crossing the I's and crossing the T's regarding how the money will be shared. So let me get your comment on that.
Well, 15 million households at an average of 4 people per house, it should have 10 million people. So the first thing will be getting the money down actually to the 15 million people. And it's easy to verify that. It has to be by direct transfer. Don't pay anybody cash. Pay to their bank account. And they will have BVN. They all have NIN. So if you actually pay to 15 million identified BVN accounts, that means they are valid accounts and they are Nigerians. That way, you know that you have paid 15 million people. And of course, we should be able to have a back end. In the past, you've heard money transfer gets into the account and the money leaves the account immediately for elsewhere. So I hope that there will also be due diligence to ensure that when the money is paid, the people for which it is meant for actually received it and have value for it.
So who's going to monitor that?
Well, everybody who has capacity to do that should. Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs is likely doing the payment. So from the National Orientation Agency to the plan, right, to the investigative agency, to NFIU, we should have, there are them in place to trace, to follow the money. Ensure that this money end up in the accounts of some individuals. Like I said in the past, an allegation, proven or not proven, when money paid to, even as loan, agri loan, some people have the money got into our account and then we couldn't even access it, and then it got what? It got moved without our permission. So I think that the first thing is how to ensure that this money go to the 15 million people and they actually received it. Not that one party shifting somewhere or some individuals are collecting for 10.
Yeah, but the government didn't say that it's going to be for party faithfuls.
That's what we're saying. They didn't say that. But we know that in the past, we have PAP in the Obasanjo regime, the 10 billion, who and who did it go to? And over time, we've been seeing different things, right? What we are saying is there must be measures in place, even from the labor union, from the civil society organization. Let's follow this money and be sure that it got to 15 million in Nigeria. The question as to whether they are the poorest of the poor, we might not be able to totally defend that.
You know, following the money, you need to empower people to follow the money. I'll come to that later. Okay, let me get your opening remark on this.
I think practically for me, it's something that is kudos to the federal government, kudos to the NLC. Although many people are angry with NLC that NLC didn't do the needful, that what they even agreed on is not what they are expecting. I need to quickly break it clear as a political economist, understand labor relations and what labor is about to do. Now, there is difference between labor movement and trade unions. What we have is trade unions, and trade unions bargain for their members, and that's what NLC has been able to succeed doing with federal government, with TUC and NLC. Now, on the issue about the palliative, for me, it has moved beyond palliative. There are about 15 memorandum of understanding signed between the federal government, NLC, and TUC. Beyond the 15 million people that were given 25,000 naira for 3 months, that's 75,000 naira. Beyond other monetary aspects where we are giving out money, there are also issues about CNG, 100 billion to be set aside for CNG kits to be brought into Nigeria. There are also issues about release of fertilizer. There are several issues, even the 7.5% VAT that have been removed from diesel. So it's gone beyond just mere palliative that we're talking about to something concrete that at the end of the 1 month moratorium of understanding between FG and NLC, it will become practical. Also, there's also a committee that will be set up to visit the refinery before the end of the month. The two refinery and the refinery to go and check the state of work before the December deadline they are going to work. So these are issues that, beyond the 15 million Nigerians, the greater aspect of it, the one that will cushion the effect, which is how fuel subsidy can be supplied and oversupply across the country, that the market forces all the price of can come down to at least a minimum or a level that Nigerians can ask, okay, it has come down. This may also impact the transportation issue that were always around the increase of fuel and the more of subsidy going forward.
Okay, now let's take a look at what happened yesterday between the two ministers, humanitarian affairs ministers and the information minister. Let's take a look at what happened yesterday.
The federal government has announced a transfer of 75,000 naira in trenches to 15 million households to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, visited the Minister of Information in his office to seek support in the dissemination of information on this and other social security programs. She said Iyaloja Funds, a poverty alleviation program, will commence on the 17th of October.
Starting almost immediately, right on the heels of that, we would be providing what we call the JEEP program. Under the JEEP program, we have the Iyaloja Funds, which is equivalent to the market women's money. We have the Jada Funds, which is also like the capital for the trader. And then, of course, we have the farmers' money, which we call the Ugbo Funds.
Responding, the Minister of Information, Mohammed Malagi, assured Nigerians of transparent and regular updates on government's activities.
Gone are days when, someone just sits there and says, government does that, government is not doing it. We say we will report it as it is, in the most accountable, transparent, and honest manner. And this is the commitment we have made to Nigeria.
The minister also disclosed that the Social Security Register, which has been in contention, has been updated since the advent of this administration. Francisca Oga, ITV News.
Yeah, you've heard it. It's about the registrar of the social, what do you call it now? Social safety nets document. There are so many issues surrounding that, and that has to be cleared.
But the contention has always been that those that are not in the state capital are mostly captured in some of these documents. For example, in Abuja right now, many of us that are not indigenous of Abuja don't expect your name to be in the social data of FCT, because you are not from FCT. And that's why the state have the responsibility to pick the names of people who are indigenous, who are resident, or but must be original indigenous of those states, and those are the people that found themselves in the list. But although we cannot rule out the politics behind it, because I've seen on social media where people are bringing out information that if you know that you are from this particular state, please send your name to your ward, political ward level, so they can capture you in the social register that we're talking about. But we just hope that at the end of the day, we will have a better document for it. But where I have issue is this. Just like the Minister of Humanitarian was talking about Ubu Capital, Yaloja Capital, Gaja Capital, I've always advised, you don't throw money. These are cosmetic and ad hoc projects that will end up bringing issues that my colleague here has pointed out. At the end of the day, you see that people claim to have collected money, will tell you that they didn't see the money. Trader money was here, not from field. More than 3 years ago, we had trader money. If you enter that market and ask, who collected trader money from the federal government, they will tell you they didn't collect. We are back to the same level again. So I think such policy working, such money should be put together and address market deficit infrastructure. There are so many deficits in our market areas. So why can't we put such money together and develop those markets instead of giving people money that at the end of the day they'll come back and tell they didn't receive money?
Yeah, but the information Minister raised is the fact that there will be transparency in the disbursement of this money. And he also said that, you know, at a regular interval, Nigerian will be getting updates. How can that be? How can we trust?
It's still like
trust
we
the minister
said. Over the small space of Nigeria, I'm sure we have the highest number of NGOs in Africa, if not across the world. So with the NGOs and the CSOs in place, what you expect from the minister is to take the National Orientation Agency back to where MAMSA was in 1986 to 1989. In which case, even when you live in the farmstead, you understand second-tier foreign exchange market. You understood virtually every program of the government, the purpose of DFRI and the rest. People were mobilized. People were enlightened. Now, if people know their rights and their limitations, if people know the purpose of the money, right, you would actually realize that it becomes possible for them to stand up even to the bank to say that money came into my account and the money disappeared with admission. When 100 people are initiating cases in different police stations at the same time, I'm sure the banker who has connived with whoever was doing the fraud back door would definitely control what they do. So we need to make the people aware for what purpose are we releasing this money. Whether it is the 15 million or is the 6 months wage award, all those are temporary measures. In which case we want to douse the tension. And if indeed the money trickles down to where they should go, then the tension should go down for the real projects that are in the pipeline to materialize. You know, you say 7.5, and the man at 7.5 for 6 months is not acceptable. I think that they are also not being fair to the nation. 6 months is a long enough time for us to expect that the refineries will begin to work, for us to expect that other things would have changed. It is an intervention. You don't keep an intervention forever. And I think that the president is magnanimous to say, take away the VAT on diesel for 6 months. So man should begin to look at, between now and the next 6 months, can we transit some of our trucks to CNG? Is it possible? Can we rail more? Can we have other means of power? So they should also be thinking over the 6 months, rather than insisting that the 6 months is what? Is too short. So we need to let people know, if we say 6 months, this is X, Y, Z. These are the data behind it. If you say 15 million people, where do they live? Who are they? If we say trader money, is there a register of these traders? So that when you give them the money, and you need to monitor over a period of 1 month, over a period of 3 months, what has happened to the money. We gave out NISA loan, NISA Community or Microfinance Bank or wherever in 2020. Majority of people who collected that loan use it to do what? To travel outside the country. Many of them. So today you are talking about payback. how do you even begin to get people whose destination you cannot trace to begin to pay back? So it's clear, you say you are giving it to them to finance their business. Did anybody actually conduct a visit to know that those businesses they claim were existing place? So the need to follow the money, for me, falls back to the CSO. So the CSOs shouldn't just be an opposition to the government. They should also be in place to ensure that if the government say this, and this is what the people are saying, there should be a balance. When you announce a project, you should be able to see it. On an NGO, but I remember, I think it was in Abacha regime, I saw a Better Life signboard somewhere. It wasn't Better Life, FIP, saying that there is a health center in a particular village in a part of Benue State. I tried getting a vehicle, I didn't get. I trekked 25 kilometers. Then I was doing NYSC, and I saw that that health center was actually what? Was actually there. And there are people in the village enjoying it. NGOs should be able to say, we have 1 million primary health care, and these services have been provided. NGOs should be able to come up with the data to say that, oh, these primary health cares are actually what? In place.
So are we not empowered the CSOs to help government in ensuring, but it depends on what the donors wants, directions are.
You are very correct, we should empower the NGOs, but the problem with the NGOs is that they have their own internal politics that they also play out. Most of them could be on this jump, just like my colleague have rightly pointed, and some of them, because of the international dimension of what they are doing, they just want to be do and be objective in what they are doing. So they don't want to interfere. That's why they call themselves non-governmental organization, in a way that they want to balance whatever the government is doing with what is happening and give the reality to Nigerians. But in the past, there was an opportunity that there was a law act to establish an NGO commission whereby they will be regulating them. But the NGO themselves, stifle it and stop it. And again, experience have told us that when government give all these non-governmental organizations money, just like they give political parties money, then it becomes an opportunity for such organization to now become so spiral, so coming up with different kind of proposal to the government that at the end of the day can be a challenge. In this case now, there are several agencies of government that can monitor this money that my colleague rightly pointed out, and some of us know them. EFCC is there. Like the NISA money that we're talking about, EFCC have been chasing about more than 1,000 farmers across Nigeria because 577 billion cannot be accounted for because of 1.1 trillion that was given to them. And 577 billion cannot be accounted for. And other monies are like that have been given by government, but nobody can count it. So EFC is there, ICPC is there, ANF is there, and even the police FCID is also there. And not to forget some government agencies that are strictly monitoring, evaluating some of the things that are happening. They're also there in the kitty to help us check some of these activities. But the key message still remains that for me, I'm not too much keen about ad hoc and cosmetic project when government throw money at problem, because this money that we are throwing at it, at the end of the day, we end up complaining that this money has not been given to the right people, and this money doesn't even give us the desired result that we want. At the end of the day, the same people that collected the money will come out and say they never collected any money from government, and that is where the challenge is.
We have 1.12 trillion to be given to those that are poor. When you look at the 15 million households by the 75,000 naira, that is actually the amount that government is about to give out. Yeah, but is that actually the best way of tackling or to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal?
I think we said it's intervention, and what like my call intervention come in different form. For me, such intervention could be deficit in the sense that it does in fact the real economic that we really deserve. 25,000. Now the same people will go to the market and buy inflationary food that is about 29%. They'll go and buy garri that is very expensive. They'll go and buy rice that is very expensive. A mutu of rice now about 1,007, 1,008. Now Nigerians have been pushed to be using gas. Now if 5 kg of gas is going to about 4,500 to 4,900 depending on where you are buying. So the same 25,000 are giving them, they are going to expand it on an inflationary economy that is beyond their imagination, beyond their control. And they will come back and tell you that 25,000 I just enter market, it's only 2, 3, 4 things I'm able to buy. A mutu of sugar is about 800 naira. I can be called because I go to the market to do assessment of my activities to be able to get around economic. This money it doesn't them to settle the problem in feeding that they want. Although we understand that when somebody is some of the things for, because most of people in the rural area really looking for that we the urban center looking for the raw food or material they want, but they also need money to buy those things. So all this at the end of the day will not really give what we want. As is intervention for 3 months, for 6 months, let it go. Key issues still remain how we can intervene in critical sector of the economy. The real sector of the economy that include power, logistics, which is transportation, rail that my colleague also mentioned, and also other aspects, including health. But government is not looking at that. And at the end of the day, you discover that the deficit budget that we are going to have in 2024 will be as a result of what we have expanded on the economy that is not giving us the real result that we are going for. And that's why they are talking about the 9-point deficit that is coming into the 2023 budget. Where will government get the funding from?
So the 1.2 that has been set to cushion the effect of, fuel subsidy removal, do you think it should have been used in other areas, like you can subsidize fuel again for that period, or you can actually be the carrier of some of these items, or at every filling station you can say, okay, we are paying half of the cost of the fuel you are buying. What you think should have been the best way?
Well, there is the dynamics of trust. Like I said, if you can get the money to the 15 million people actually, and it gets to them, for the 90 days or thereabout for which they are getting.
But what about the increasing rate of inflation?
You will have solved the problem. Whether you give them the money or not, the reality from where we are is that there is inflation. And I and you know that it's difficult when price go up in Nigeria for you to bring it down directly. Now, if you say go to the filling station and subsidize, but eventually still cook record, somebody will sell 10 and sold on 100. Except you are now going to say you want to assign staff at the nation. How many staff do you want to assign to sit down and monitor what happens at the filling station?
Yeah, but
so for me, intervention measures are not the problem. You already know the amount spending for the 15 million. You already know the number of staff. This is the amount that is going to the 35,000 for 6 months, right? What we should focus on now is that before the end of the 100 days, let the CNG buses you are importing be on ground. Let the CNG kits be on ground. Let the local refineries begin to work, right? If the refineries begin to work, and the CNG buses are here to reduce transportation, and the conventional kits are here for the cars, then you know that to an extent. By the time you are stopping the payment of the 25,000 to the family, they have access to some things that would work. Of course, in power, I also believe that, like I would always say, well, maybe because I'm not an investor in the mini grid, I do not believe in some of the mini grid agenda. I think we should either have our grid or we go off grid. Go to the village where there is no grid. Don't bother paying TCN to get to them. Support them to have their own individual cottage solar power to the extent that it can serve the homes. And then they know that the maintenance is in their ability. Then the day the discos are ready, they will get grid to the place, give the people meter. Because yes, we're talking about those things, government directly, but we are encouraging power stealing. When you don't give people meter, right, you actually are allowing them to steal your power and pay what they like for those who are powerful. And for those who are weak, you are actually making them pay for darkness when you give them estimated bill, because they do not have the capacity to negotiate or trade. So for me, for power, there must be a deliberate, aggressive focus on off-grids, especially for the rural dwellers and the suburbans. In the urban center, they are already on grid, so metering them becomes urgent. And like I would always say, we don't have to wait until we can produce meter locally to meter everybody. Meter everybody now.
Anyhow, you can
new buildings are coming up. Those who are investing in construction will have the new buildings to become their target customers. We are a growing nation. So you don't wait until you sink borehole before you drink water if you are thirsty. So that's for me. So transport will improve. Rail, we should begin to improve. Refineries should come. The roads should continue to work. When all these infrastructures are in place, over the 100 to 200 days, a lot of these things can actually happen. And labor, organized labor, need to sit up with their members who are in these critical sectors to get day-to-day returns.
Okay, Mr. Ogunloye, I'll take that as your last word here. Let me get your last word.
I think for me, people should just understand Nigerian Labour Congress. They should understand TUC, that they are trade unions. They are only bargaining and negotiating for what will benefit their direct members who are paying dues to them. For the generality of Nigerians, we just have to put pressure on the government to do the right thing. Now, doing the right thing means that they must put money in critical economic sector of Nigeria. Just like you rightly said, the grid, the thermal, the electricity. There is an act now that allow autonomy of independent of power supply across Nigeria. What are the state government doing? What are the local government doing? I think they should take it off.
Thank you so much, Folarin Olamilekan, for your time on the program. Also, thank you, Ben Ogunloye, for your time with us on the program this morning. We, of course, really got what all of that is all about and what government should do to ensure that at the expiration of that time, other things should come up. The economy should be experiencing boom.